Okay, settling in. And that's what it feels like. It feels like settling. Noticing where the body is in relationship to where we're sitting or what that feels like on the chair, feet on the floor, hands in your lap, body erect. But also being intentional about settling into the position. So we make a conscious effort to not just sit without thinking, but sit intentionally to see how is our body feeling. And as we go through the meditation, to be aware of the words that are being said, but also to be aware of how it is impacting our body. To notice that a thought can trigger a body sensation, or an emotion can also trigger that. And so it's as if we have two screens open. One is our awareness of thought and emotion, and the other is awareness of body. But it's simultaneous, almost as if we are layering the screen on top of another screen. Or as though we think about the beauty of fall, and when we used to, as kids, gather those leaves, different color leaves, and then we would put them between waxed paper. I love that metaphor because it is the beauty of fall right now. And so we put ourselves in the position of being able to simultaneously cultivate awareness of our mind, body, and spirit. Because they are so closely connected. And we can't compartmentalize that all we're doing is awareness of thought, all we're doing is awareness of body, all we're doing is awareness of spirit. We might intentionally meditate on thought and emotion, but in order to do so, we realize that the body and spirit are also there and present. So we have to work with our brain. We have to work with our brain to see that it is there. It's a little triad working together. And when we notice thoughts or emotions, it always feels something in our body. So sadness often feels heavy in our chest, around our heart. Joy and love can also appear there. But those emotions can often trigger thoughts. So we feel that sense of love, joy, sadness, or grief. And depending on where our mindset is, we may notice it first with a thought or emotion, or we might notice it first as a heaviness or a lightness. They are so closely connected. And at that point, we can make a choice. If I am noticing sadness, I can make a choice to push that sadness down because I'm not ready to deal with it. Or I can choose to say, I have a heaviness in my chest. I have a heaviness around my heart, and so I'm going to sit with that feeling. And I'm going to be curious without getting attached, without analysis paralysis. I'm just simply going to notice that it's there. And if thought accompanies it, I might allow the thought to come. But again, I don't get attached and I don't ruminate about the past, because it is my intention to stay in the present moment. And while I notice that thought and that emotion, the present moment allows me to just realize that's all it is. A thought or emotion that I have the choice and I have the wisdom to allow it to sit for just a few moments, and then I can watch it float away. And as I watch that float away, I'm aware of the beauty of that pause that we talked about before, the pause between the breath. And so as I notice and sit with the heaviness, I bring my awareness back to my breath. I might breathe deeply as I watch the thought or emotion float away. And then I realize that beauty of that pause. Because as we've talked about before, sometimes we can intentionally push things away because we're not ready to deal with them, or because we feel that dealing with them is an imposition on someone else, or because I was taught not to reveal my emotion. But we know that to be wrong thinking, because regardless of what we believe, thoughts and emotions are still there. And I have to understand that I can make a choice. I can let it stay in my body, or I can just simply be curious. That's interesting. And then I let it float away. I let it float away because I know that keeping that thought and emotion stuck inside of me is not going to serve my growth, my peace, and my harmony. It's likely not going to serve me at all. But that release of emotion, is allowing us to move from our sympathetic nervous system to our parasympathetic nervous system. And that release is powerful. It can help remove any aches and pains. It can help remove the tension that the emotion is keeping locked in our bodies. So sometimes we know that a good cry or a good belly laugh is very, very healing. And we've all had memories of those good cries and those good laughs. And we know how that feels in our minds and bodies. And so we can choose, if we can't do it through silence, we can choose other ways. We can watch a sad movie or a comedy. We can share with another trusted human being so that they give us permission to let go. But we know the power of hanging on, and that power can harm us if we do it all the time. And so we look at ways to become curious about our thought and emotion. We just allow it to become part of our awareness. And we can even ask ourselves, is this serving me? And if the answer to that is yes, then we want to get curious about how it is serving us. Is it keeping us stuck? Is it getting us attention? Is it keeping us closed off because of fear? Fear that people will judge us, or fear that I won't be able to rein the thoughts or emotions in once I start letting them go. Fear is often at the root of us holding on. It's often at the root of us not being able to let go. And fear is one of our most powerful emotions. And so as we practice our mindfulness each and every day, we might feel that sadness, that joy, that happiness, that anger. But we must be very cognizant of fear. And when fear arises, we ask ourselves how it is serving us. And so fear, like every other emotion, can come into our awareness, and we do have the inner wisdom to be able to watch fear, as well as every other emotion, fade away. And so as we sit in silence this morning, we are bringing that beautiful fall leaf into our awareness, noticing the wax paper, and imagining how we can bring our mind, body, and spirit into our awareness simultaneously. And so we will sit in silence until you hear my voice again. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings find peace.